Dragon's Den start and all of that. I've looked at your business career over many years with admiration. Tell us how you did it. What was different between you and the other kids in the playground at school that made you want to go out and buy an ice cream van when other people were telling you it was a bad idea?
Good morning, Liam. I don't know. I remember having a conversation with my brothers. We were teenagers, young teenagers, and seeing a nice car. I told them I was going to have one of those cars one day, and they said I was being silly. So I think it was. There is a bit of arrogance involved. I think you have to have arrogant self-belief that you can do it. And I failed at school miserably. I didn't know why. I know now why. I know it's because I was dyslexic and didn't know it. And but I knew that I wasn't stupid, as I was called. And so I knew I was going to do something. And I ended up starting business much later in life and realised that I enjoyed business. And it was a way of making money that I never had dreamed of before, or had only dreamed of before. And so I went into business, and the business took off, and that was it. And I am where I am. And not enjoying business anymore as much, but enjoying life, certainly.
Now, Dragon's Den is in your past. I think it's fair to say you were a very successful dragon. You were on the show for a long time. What did you learn from that series? Did you really learn anything about business, or was it maybe, with all due respect, show business?
I think I did learn a bit about business, yeah. I mean, I don't think you could sit in front of such accomplished entrepreneurs beside me and not learn something. So I certainly learned a lot. And I learned quite a lot about retail, for example, from Theo Papitis, who's a retail magnate. And he's great, very successful guy. So I learned a bit, but what I learned was that I was spending about 26 days a year in a studio after 10 years. And I thought, I don't want to waste any more of my time doing this. And so that's when I left.
That's a lesson for me.
Duncan. Well, you might do it for a living. It's very different doing it for a living as to just do it. Most of it was fun, but after 10 years doing the same thing, the fun goes out of it.
I've been reporting today on how it's not just a military conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It's an economic war, if you like, between Russia and the West. We've got many blue chip companies, thoroughbred companies rushing out of Russia, not just the oil and gas giants, the consumer good giants. We've got all kinds of tech companies and media companies and so on. What do you make of this conflict?
I think the conflict is getting out of hand. I think it's getting almost close to another world war. And I think, we have to do something very quick to prevent it escalating even further. I'm not sure what we can do, but certainly I think Putin must realise he made a mistake, and how he gets out of that mistake, I don't know, but we have to give him some opportunity to be able to walk out without his head too low before there's many more deaths. And I think what we've all seen is the courage and the bravery of the people of Ukraine that have held him back, and I've never seen anything like it. This is going to be an amazing story to tell for years and years to come if we all survive it.
Now, the UK has produced all kinds of very successful entrepreneurs, not just England, of course, but the Scots, yourself, people from Ireland, people from Wales. We are known as pretty canny entrepreneurs, pretty vibrant commercial people. Do you think we're becoming more or less entrepreneurial as a nation? Because unless we're becoming more entrepreneurial, in the end, the nation's wealth, society's wealth, business creates the wealth upon which everything else depends, is likely to diminish.
Yeah, I think we're certainly over the last 10 or 15 years become more entrepreneurial all around the country, particularly with because people have seen programs like Dragon's Den and The Apprentice, and they wanted to go into business, and they're becoming successful at it. And I think that hopefully that continues. But there's been a big impact on how we live and how we want to live from the pandemic, and now almost world war, and how we come out of that and what we think of that after it ends is going to just see how entrepreneurial we are and how entrepreneurial we can be.
Where does Britain get its creative spark from, Duncan? It can't be a coincidence that this tiny windswept rock in the North Sea has generated so many ideas over centuries, has generated so much commerce, has been a sort of superpower of entrepreneurialism, to coin a phrase. Where do you think that comes from? What part of our national psyche makes us like that?
I think it's come from us. Certainly, when I was a kid, and I saw some other big name entrepreneurs, and I thought, well, they're saying that they started with nothing and they made all this money, so surely I can do that. And you saw some great entrepreneurs. I mean, the greatest of all, probably over the time, has been Richard Branson, and the business he started and what he's done is absolutely phenomenal. Alan Sugar as well has done phenomenal businesses, and people saw this and realised that they could do it. And my autobiography was called "Anyone Can Do It," and I really believe anyone can do it. Anyone can start a business, and they can do it very, very well. It requires a lot of hard work. It requires dedication. It requires, as I say, a bit of arrogance that you believe you can do it when nobody else is telling you can't. And people are starting to realise that this is true. They can do it. They can start a business and they become entrepreneurial.
You're joining us from Miami, Duncan. You're looking, if I may say so, very well. I'm not envious. You're in a sunny place. Not at all. Not me. So what's the future for Duncan Bannatyne in terms of your business career? Having been on Dragon's Den, you're going to be closely watched for the rest of your commercial life, if you like. So what are you up to?
Well, business-wise, I'm only up to looking after the one business I have, my main business, which is the Bannatyne Group, which is a group of companies that own health clubs, hotels, and some properties. And surviving that is the main thing at the moment, because it's not difficult. It is difficult at the moment. It's a difficult time, and I just have to ensure that we keep our costs down, keep as many of our clubs open as we can. I've closed 4 clubs since the beginning of the pandemic that won't open again, but the rest of them should survive, and we keep people in employment.
And how serious do you think the economic environment is that we're entering now, Duncan? Even before the huge instability of this Russia-Ukraine conflict, we knew here in the UK, in America where you are, inflation's at a 30-year high in both those countries. The cost of living squeeze is upon us. Does this remind you of the 70s when we were kids, or do you think it's something different?
Well, I think it's something very different. I think it's very dangerous. We don't know what's going to happen if Putin presses the red button and it starts a nuclear war. I mean, the world will just change so dramatically. If it hasn't already changed, and it's changed for many people. I think we have to understand that we have a duty as well to look after Ukrainian refugees. They shouldn't be left in refugee camps. They should be given an opportunity to have some sort of decent life. The best we can all give. All UK and all European countries must do that. And stop thinking about the bottom line profit. It's not the most important thing anymore. It's not going to be for a long time. The thing is survival and looking after each other. Being kind to each other would be nice.